there, Shobha? Okay, Subhashish. Okay, so there's a bunch of people already in. Raya, all right, good. I think it's still not time, so you still have 1 minute left. So you can go ahead and share your screen,
Yeah.
Sham. Right. Okay, so we were getting a lot of requests from a lot of people in terms of how we run cold emails and what are the right settings. There was a bunch of questions. I have a bunch of questions myself, which I'm going to ask Shyam. So let me introduce Shyam to all of you who don't know him. I had a pleasure to work with Shyam for over 8 years now. He has got more than 1.5 decade of experience when it comes to inbound and outbound marketing, cold email marketing is in general, marketing automation, sales funnel building. So he is a total pro in what he does. He is also one of the top rated Fiverr and Upwork freelancer. So if anybody wants to check out his profile, or if anybody wants to work with him directly, they can check out his Upwork and Fiverr profile, which is more than 10 years old. I have been working with Shyam for more than 8 years now, and we have worked on multiple projects together. Before this whole thing blew up, right? And now everybody wants to do cold email and GTM engineering and ABM and whatnot. A lot more interest is there right now in 2025 as compared to 2015, where it was very, very specific to large enterprises, large B2B enterprise companies who are running this kind of cold campaigns. Okay, so I think I'm not going to take any more time. I'm going to give it to you, Sham. From spam to sale, tell us how we can avoid spam, we land up in inbox, and deliver our message. Over to you.
Yeah. Thank you, Ritesh. Thank you for a wonderful introduction and a brief overview of what we are going to discuss today. Okay, so this is practically our bread and butter. All of the marketers want uh, as much sales as possible from their email campaign that they are running. So we are going to go through some of the practices that we follow, that I follow personally, that helps us avoid this term called spam and reach our end goal called sales. Okay, so we are going to discuss primarily in the context of B2B companies. So once we go through this exercise and we implement this in our system, we can reach as high as 46% click rates or even more, uh, really high reply rates, great open rates, all those metrics that we talk about in marketing, cold outreach, all of those are achievable given we follow certain practices. Okay, so let's move on with yeah. All right. So I'm on to the second slide. So all we want to do when we are running cold outreach campaign is reach more inboxes. Okay. We want to reach them more often and we want to convert more leads out of it and eventually more leads meaning more sales. All right. So this is the entire agenda of this entire presentation. Okay, so now let's address the elephant in the room. So reaching more inboxes means having great deliverability and why it matters. So let's talk about that first. Okay, so if you're sending emails, you write the best copy ever and imagine nobody is reading it. It does not matter what is there in the copy because nobody is able to read it. And the primary reason could be that it's not even delivered in the right place in the inbox, or it's not even going to the inbox for that matter, let alone the promotions tab or the updates tab. So you write the best copy and people don't see it. That is a big red flag in your campaign. So we want to address that. We also want to address poor deliverability, like, for example, some of the key metrics that we're talking about. Suppose if you are using certain domains which are not ideal for sending, if you are sending emails which are giving you very poor conversions, even after running for a long time, all those are indicator of poor deliverability. We want to address that as well. And then again, so this is the most dreadful term or the most hated term, spam. Nobody wants to receive a spam, including yourself, including me, including everyone. Nobody wants to receive a spam email. Nobody goes to the spam folder for that matter, right? So if nobody is going to the spam folder, basically it means as a marketer or as a outreach person that your email should not be landing into spam. So that is what again we want to avoid. All right. If we do this right, there are chances that we will have better conversion rates. Okay. Right. So what are the basics of deliverability and what it actually means? So imagine you're sending an email to 1,000 people. And are you sure that all of those 1,000 people are receiving those emails? So there is a difference between sent and received, right? So once you send this particular email to those 1,000 recipients, not everybody is going to receive it. The reason is simple, that the list that you are working on, the list you are sending to, might not be having the best quality data. There might be some people who have deleted their email address. There might be some people who have left their organization, so their email addresses are no longer of use. There are chances people signed up on your website with wrong email address. So again, that email address is also useless. So we need to filter the data before sending the emails. So obviously there is going to be a big difference between sent and receive. So we need to make sure to all the people we are sending, that particular filtered list is the best possible list that we have. So first thing first is the list that you are having should be of great quality. And how to make that list of great quality, we'll talk about that later in this presentation. Okay, so let's quickly talk about the credibility. Sorry, before credibility, we'll talk about reaching the inbox, right? So we need to reach the inbox. We want to avoid first and foremost the spam folder. Then we work on avoiding the promotions and updates folder and eventually landing into the spam, eventually landing into the inbox and avoiding the spam. This comes from a lot of factors, including your domain, what kind of domain you're using, what kind of trust your domain has established over a period of time, what kind of engagement people are having with your emails. All of these things come into the picture when you are going to aim for inbox placement. Okay, so after this, we have the last step, which is the credibility. The credibility is basically your reputation score, your email quality, recipient behavior, all things put together is your credibility. So if you are sending emails and they are being received, the rate is very high, the delivery rate is incredibly high, people are engaging with your emails, they're opening, they're clicking, they are replying to your email. All of those are indicators of great credibility, and that will help you improve your deliverability even more going forward. Okay, so now we are going to talk about 5 pillars of cold email deliverability.
Yeah.
Here,
So Shyam, I'm sorry to interrupt here.
yeah.
Before you go into the details of
Mhm.
what you do, I want to just share my screen for a minute
Okay,
for everybody who's there in this webinar, because I've been working with you on my own campaigns and
of
those are
course.
performing very well. So
Yeah.
first, I would really want to show the results, and then you can come down as to how you were able to achieve those kind of results. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
So before we get into the deep dive of of what we do, I think
Mhm.
it's better to start with the results, right? So
Okay.
I'm going to share my screen for a minute, Shyam,
All right. Yeah, sure.
setup. Okay, this is what I do for my own company. Of course, Shyam is involved in this particular project. And
Yeah.
as you can see, so we create funnels and layers, right? So we send level 1 emails to warm them up,
Mhm.
create a relationship, then level 2 emails to people who have clicked or opened up our emails and like so on. So there is some sort of a funnel building that is in place. And of course, there is a lot of effort that goes into that. But this is level 2 emails. This is level 2 emails, engaged emails. And you see the sent, 231 sent, 227 open rate. So we have almost got 98% open rate to level 2 emails. And the same goes with this one, 99% open rate and click-through rate. And we are getting replies also. It's not just about open and click. we are getting reply also, and these are not very large number of emails. We are not talking about 10,000 emails. We are talking about small number of emails in bursts that we are sending, and we are getting replies. So this is the first level email. 1,659 sent, 593 opened, almost 39-40% of open rate for reply. Positive reply as well on this one. This one is 1,800 emails sent, 844 opened, 8 replied. Okay, 47% open rate. And then I'm not putting up the click-through rate here. Sometimes we disable that, for optimization purpose. Sometimes we
Yeah.
disable the open rate. All of that, Shyam's going to talk more on that. But this is level 1 emails. As you can see, 30 to 40, 50% open rate and reply rate. And level 2 goes anywhere between 90% or more. And
Yeah.
that is how we create funnels, and then we qualify the leads to go from one stage to another stage. Eventually a stage comes where we try to contact them over LinkedIn and other channels, right? I sincerely felt that this was an important.
Yeah,
Yep.
Ritesh,
Yeah,
yeah, thank you for sharing your screen and showing all this. Can you keep it in your screen for a minute? I want to talk a little more about this.
sure, please.
Yeah. So I did put screenshots for the last part, but great. I am thankful that you put it in the beginning of the discussion itself. All of these numbers that we are seeing, these are incredibly great numbers, and it takes a lot of effort and planning to reach these kind of numbers, right? So the viewers who are watching, this is a result of meticulous planning and long-term effort, and we put a lot of strategy before coming out with these kind of numbers and these kind of results in the campaigns. So all of the theory that I was talking about, all of that put together, after few weeks or few months down the line, you will be able to see these kind of numbers. It's not like you start the campaign and immediately you'll be able to see these kind of numbers. So yeah, so these numbers are possible, but given you have the patience and energy to reach these kind of results, it's not going to be that straightforward. But obviously, if you follow the process, these are very much achievable numbers. Yeah.
All right. Okay, so I'll give it to you, Shyam.
Yeah. Okay. So all right, so we were talking about 5 pillars of cold email deliverability. So all of these 5 pillars that we are going to talk about right now, if they are done correctly, this will provide you with the result that we were seeing in Ritesh's screen just moments ago. All of these 5 steps are very, very important, and they cannot be ignored or cannot be uh, done in an ordinary way. They need to be done exactly they are supposed to be done. And any step that is missed is going to create problems for your deliverability. Okay, so first thing is that domain setup and authentication. So we move to the first step. Here, there are a few technical terms. I'm not going to get technical in this webinar, but once you select an email tool which you are going to use for your cold outreach or email outreach, that tool itself will require you to set these things up. So SPF, TKIM, DMARC, all of these are essential to be set up before sending the emails. So for example, SPF means you need to prove that the domain that you are going to use to send your emails is actually your domain and you are allowed to send from the domain. So each of these 3 things have their own reasoning, their own existence, and why they exist. All of that is there. So you need to make sure all of these things are implemented in the right way. And once this is done, you will see a tick mark or a green signal from your email provider. If you're using Instantly, if you're using reply.io, all of those tools will allow you to set these things up. Maybe some other day, Ritesh, we can have another webinar only on this for domain authentication.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. So for the time being, I'm going to skip this because it's going to take a good chunk of time and it probably requires a webinar in itself. All right. So so these all the things are needed to be set up. DKIM, for example, is going to help you verify the email integrity. And all of this is checked by the email recipient server, like for example, Google, Microsoft. all of these servers check what is right with your email, what is wrong with your email, and they find every single reason to reject your email and send it to spam. So you need to make sure that these things are set up correctly, and you are in the good books of Google and Microsoft and other email service providers. Okay. Obviously, you can use, there are certain tools out there. You can use those tools, MX Toolbox, Mail Tester, Postmark. These are some of the tools which will help you check your DNS and all your settings that are required to set up your email tool with your sending domains. Okay. So, all right. So there are certain mailboxes which are better than other mailboxes. To simply put this in a single line, I would say Google Suite or Google Workspace, G Suite or Google Workspace, and Microsoft 365 are the best one out there so far, and they are easier to set up. They have better deliverability. Even the warm-up tools, the email warm-up tools that we will be talking about in a moment, are also supporting in a better way. G Suite and MS365 are supported better for warm-up, deliverability, and reporting. Okay, they're
Yeah, I mean,
publicly.
I'm sorry, Shyam, to interrupt you. I mean,
Yeah,
this is where I get the most questions typically,
yes,
Should I take Google? Should I take Microsoft 365, Outlook? Should I take Zoho, custom SMTP? And then there are new services that is coming up, right? That is
yeah,
popping up, This I get all the time. What you're saying here is, the first preference is Google, then Microsoft. And if you're putting the others like Zoho and Yandex and custom SMTP only after these two. Is that correct? Because a
fine.
lot of people, they come to me and they say, hey, you know what?
Yeah,
Outlook is expensive and Google Workspace is expensive. Let me, see if I can do it via
of course.
Zoho or GoDaddy.
Yeah.
What's your take on that? Why not Zoho? Why not GoDaddy? Why Google? Why Outlook?
Yeah, I'll answer that now, Ritesh. So first and foremost, G Suite or Google Workspace has the probably the best UI out there. That's one thing, and it's easier for the beginners to understand. Even Microsoft 365, for that matter, is easier to understand. Zoho, Yandex, or anything else, including custom SMTP, they could be slightly cumbersome. They could be slightly more technical, and you might need help from some developer. Not necessarily, but in most cases, it is the case. That is one reason that people prefer Google Workspace or MS365. Another reason is we are talking about B2B situation here. So we are talking about business to business. We're not talking about hundreds of thousands of emails or millions of emails. We're talking about maybe 5,000 emails, 10,000 emails, 50,000 emails for that matter. But we're not talking about 1 million email or something like that, because B2B companies do not send millions of emails on a weekly or monthly basis, right? So if you are if you are going to send millions of emails, probably SMTP is the best option there. And millions of emails in a month or in a week is usually for e-commerce companies or D2C or B2C companies. So that is the reason, that is the technical reason that you should be going ahead with Google Workspace or Microsoft
So
365.
what you're saying is for
Yeah.
B2B, it's better to stick to Microsoft 365 or G Suite,
Yes,
right?
yes.
And for D2C and e-commerce, you have a different take on that. Is that right?
Yeah. Yes, definitely, because in D2C and e-commerce, you would probably be sending to millions of people. And in that case, you will need custom SMTP, because Google Workspace and Microsoft 365 are going to be ultra expensive, not expensive, but ultra expensive there.
Understood.
Yes,
Okay. So it doesn't make sense to use Google or Microsoft to
yeah,
send millions of email. It's just practically and even the
it's
cost wise,
practical.
it's going to be very difficult, right? For
Of
most
course,
of the
yeah.
businesses.
Yes, yes,
Okay.
yeah. So yeah, so this is very important, choosing the right mailboxes for outreach. Ideally, Google Workspace, maybe Microsoft 365. Maybe you can mix both of them, and even better if you can mix both of them. Have multiple domains and have the combination of two, right? I
Understood.
wouldn't advise on having Zoho or other services, at least in the beginning. Maybe you have a lot of Google Workspaces, Google Workspace inboxes, or MS365 inboxes. Maybe after that, you can add Zoho little later on just to mix it up, or something else if you have it. There are many out there, including Yandex and so on,
Awesome.
right? So yeah,
I
so
have one very important question, that I
yeah,
mean, I have made a list of them.
yes,
Maybe
yes,
you'll
sure.
cover it in the next slide, which is how many domains should we buy? Should we use the main primary domain? If
Mhm.
not, how many domains should we buy? How many mailboxes should we buy? What is a good number? And like
Well,
so on. So I think, are you going to cover it in the upcoming slides, Sham? Do you have a dedicated slide or do you want to discuss it right now?
so yeah, there is no dedicated slide, but I am going to answer it right now. So,
Okay.
so there is no perfect number in terms of how many domains you should be using. But if you are starting out, you can start with as little as 5 domains and gradually build up your domain infrastructure, because each domain will require you to set the SPF, DKIM, DMARC, and so on, right? The things that we discussed in this particular slide, the previous slide. So all of these things need to be set up, but you cannot wait all of the domains. Suppose you have 50 domains and you want to set them up. You cannot wait all of those domains to be set up, right? Just want to get going with your cold email campaigns. So you probably just start with 4 or 5 domains in the beginning and
And
gradually
this is not
expand.
your primary domain. Is that right? Not the primary
Absolutely,
domain.
absolutely. I'll come to that as well. So we start with, let's say, 4 or 5 domains. Then we add another 5, and gradually we move on to 15, 20, 25, maybe even 40 domains, depending upon how many emails we are sending. Uh, Ideally, I don't want to exhaust the particular mailbox that I'm using to send the emails. So per domain, we might be using, let's say, 2 to 3 mailboxes. So
Yeah.
given,
So
if,
let me put this straight.
yeah,
Okay. Let me put the context here.
yeah,
What you're saying is, if I want to start cold email outreach,
mhm,
I will have my own domain, say for example, riteshosta.com, my primary domain. I mean, this is for all the
sure,
people who don't understand technicalities here. So
yes,
I have my primary domain, say riteshosta.com, my own
mhm,
domain. So what you're saying is, don't touch that primary domain. Instead, find other domains like
absolutely,
riteshosta.shop, riteshosta.in, riteshosta.something, right? Some other
absolutely,
similar domain. Take
yes,
5 of them to begin with, right? Now, the
absolutely,
moment we take domain, say for example, in Google Suite, we take domain, then we have to take mailboxes, correct?
true,
And under each domain, there can be multiple people, right? For example, Ritesh
yes,
at riteshwastra.com, Shyam at riteshwastra.com, and Harish at riteshwastra.com, and like so on. So
absolutely,
technically, you can take a number of mailboxes. Now, my
totally.
question here is, suppose we start with 5 domain.
Mhm.
Each domain, how many mailboxes is a good number to begin with? 5, 10, 3, 2. What is a good
Yeah,
number of mailboxes to begin with?
yeah,
For
there
each
is
domain?
no, yeah, there is no magic number here, but maybe you can go ahead with 2 or 3 domains to start with. And if
2 to
that
3
domain,
mailboxes.
2 to 3 mailboxes per domain you can start with. And if it works well in the long run, you might add 1 or 2 later on, not immediately. But if you see good results, let's say 3 months down the line, you might want to add 1 or 2 mailboxes to
Understood.
that particular domain. Yeah.
So, so I take 5 domain and I take
Mhm.
anywhere between 3 to 5 mailboxes in each domain, correct?
Maybe 2 to 3 for the
2 to 3.
beginning.
So three,
Yeah.
let's take
Yeah.
three.
3. Yeah.
So 5 domain into 3 mailboxes for each domain makes it
Yeah.
15 mailboxes. One
Correct.
five.
Yes.
So now I have 15 mailboxes by which I can send email,
Yes.
correct? Now my
Yeah.
follow-up question.
Mhm.
What is because according to Google policy, you can send up to 500 emails per mailbox. Is
Right.
that right?
Yes.
That means I can technically, as per Google policy, I can send 15 into 500 emails in one day. Is that
Exactly.
right? Because
Yes.
Google has set a limit of 500 emails per mailbox in one day. So I can
Yes.
send
Right.
1500 to 500, 7500 emails per day, technically, right?
Mhm.
That means 7500 to 1 month is, uh, you know, 75, 150, 200,000 emails, correct? I can send. With
Yeah.
5 domain and 15 mailboxes, I can, in theory, in paper, I can send 200,000 emails.
Yes,
But that's not what we do. That's not what you do.
exactly. Yeah,
Correct?
that you
So
can
what
do
is the
that,
good
but
number, for somebody who is just starting up? Because this is the basic question that needs to be answered before they take the next step. So I want your input here. Sure.
yeah. So you can send hundreds of thousands of email using just 50 mailboxes, but that is not what is supposed to be done here. You don't need to exhaust your mailboxes. So just think about in this particular way. You are a B2B company, and you are just starting out. First of all, you want to land in the inbox. That is your primary goal. Once you start landing on the inbox, then you would be thinking about scaling, right? The first thing is that you don't want to send 500 emails per inbox on any given day. Okay. Ideally, I would say maybe on your best day, send 40 to 50 emails per inbox, not more than that. And if you want to send more emails on a particular day, just start adding more mailboxes instead of increasing the number of emails you're sending from that particular mailbox.
Very good.
So yeah, so if you want to send, um, let's say 1,000 emails in a day, okay? So one particular domain, probably you can use, let's say 50 emails. So that means 20 mailboxes you would need in that particular day. But you don't have 20 mailboxes, you only have 15, right? You need to add 5 more to reach that number. But sending more emails is not the key to reaching higher deliverability or higher click rates. There are a lot of other factors that would involve in terms of reaching higher click-through rates, higher reply rates, and higher open rates. Okay,
Okay, so
so
let me put
yeah,
that straight. So for example, if I have got 5 domain and
mhm,
15 mailboxes,
yeah,
you're saying do not send more than 50 emails, 40 emails to be on the
yeah,
safe side
yeah.
from one
Maybe even start with 30 only for the first few
30.
months. Yeah,
So
yeah,
30 into, so I've got 15 mailboxes, and
yeah,
from each mailbox, I can send 30 emails. So
right,
practically, I can send 30 into 50 per day,
yeah,
right? Which is 450 or around 500 emails I can send per day. So which is coming around 15,000, 10 to 15,000 emails per month, right? That's a safe number,
yes, yes,
if somebody's starting up. Is that right, Sham?
yeah, yeah. Definitely, that is a very safe number. They can start slow and they can gradually start scaling once they see emails being delivered to the inboxes of the recipients.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so also to add to this, if you are sending cold email campaigns and you want to add more mailboxes, like you have 15 mailboxes, but now you need 20 mailboxes. So instead of uh, adding more mailboxes to the existing domains, you might just go ahead and purchase a couple of more domains and add the mailboxes there instead of adding it to your existing domains. It will give you more flexibility in terms of building domain reputation and sender reputation for each particular domain. And suppose in the future, one of the domains does not have good sender reputation, you can simply switch it off. I mean, you can stop sending from that particular domain. So the reason we keep adding domains is simple, that at some point of time, some of the domains might fall off, and
Understood.
you might have to remove those from your sending ecosystem.
So, so what you're saying is that if I've got five domains and 15 mailboxes, and if I want to go from 15 to 20 mailbox, do not
Yeah,
add more mailboxes into the existing domain. Instead,
exactly.
add more domains. For example, now I should have 7 domain and 21 mailboxes. Is
True.
that right? You know,
Yes,
that is better because even if one of the domain gets blacklisted, I still have 6 domains and mailboxes left
mm,
to still continue with my outbound. Is that right, Shah?
exactly. Yes.
Okay.
All right. So moving on to the next slide. Yes, so this is important. So I just briefly touched upon this in the previous slide, which is list hygiene and email quality. So here we are talking about what kind of contact database that you are going to use to reach out to. So imagine you have 1,000 contacts. Suppose you can see it in this illustration here, right on the right side. If you have 1,000 contacts, as I mentioned earlier, not everybody is going to receive the email if you're sending to those thousand contacts. So before sending, you need to validate those emails. Some of the emails or some of the recipients might have deleted their email address, might have changed their email address, might have left the company, so their email addresses are invalid now. So all those things are very important to take care of. You need to find out how many emails are valid, and for that you can use tools like Never Bounce and Never Bounce, Zero Bounce, and there are other tools as well. So you can use one. These are paid services, and these are important to use. The reason is simple: you need to protect your sender reputation. You need to maintain your list quality, and if your list quality is high, there is a very good chance that most of the emails will land into the inbox. And that is what we want, right? So you need to use tools like NeverBounce before sending out to 1,000 unknown people, because these people don't know you. You need to create some sort of icebreaker. You need to do some kind of introduction. You need to reach out to them in a way that they feel like talking to you, right? You cannot just come out of the blue and start talking to them and hope for a great business with them, right? So you need to start the conversation with the right people, and to do that, you need to ensure that these people and these emails really exist, which is
Okay.
yeah.
So I have a few questions here, Sham, and these are technical questions here.
Mhm.
What you're saying is to use these third-party services like Never Bounce and Zero Bounce, and some of the tools like Snovio, they have their own validation tool as well, right? Even Apollo and
Yes, there are many. Yes.
yeah, there are many. Can you just briefly
Mhm.
explain these technical terms? For example, if I run through Never Bounce or Zero Bounce,
Yeah.
my email list, say 1,000 lists that I have pulled out from Apollo,
Yeah.
okay, and I run it through Never Bounce or Zero Bounce, I'll get something like this, right?
Mhm.
60% valid,
Yes.
5% accept all, 3% unknown. Can you explain these terms technically? What does that mean?
Yes.
And
Yes.
whether
So
to who to send email, who to avoid? Can you explain that practically?
yes. So let's take the same example that I gave just moments ago. Uh, if you have a list of 1,000 people and you don't know all of these thousand contacts in the list are valid or not, so what you are going to do is you are going to create an account in NeverBounce. You are going to upload. I'm taking an example of NeverBounce here. There are many other tools out there like NeverBounce. So let's take an example of NeverBounce right now. So upload that list of 1,000 people into NeverBounce, ask it to validate this list. Then NeverBounce will give you certain results, and it will give you the list of valid contacts as well. Okay. So imagine it gave you the result like the one that is seen in this screenshot. So it gave you a total of 60% valid contact, which is 724. Then accept all or unverifiable are 41 or 3.4%, and so on, right? So valid here means these are the emails that NeverBounce says are good enough to send email to. So you can go ahead and take it into your email cold outreach tool and start sending emails to them. So this is what it means by valid contacts. Okay. So the next thing is accept all. It is also called catch all. So catch all is basically unverifiable. They don't, most of the companies,
Can you explain what is catch-all
yes,
technically?
yes. So a lot of B2B companies have certain type of email setups where even if the email does not exist, for example, uh, Ritesh, right? For let's take your example. So imagine there is a company and there is no person called Ritesh in that company. Okay. But somebody accidentally sends email to Ritesh at the rate company, so-called company.com, right? So if that happens, ideally it should bounce. The email should bounce. It should not land into the inbox of any person whatsoever, right? But sometimes what happens is some companies have this mechanism where even if the email does not exist, but the domain exists, right? So for example, Ritesh at google.com, the google.com domain exists. If you're sending email to Ritesh at google.com, there is a chance that it will land into a common inbox, which is catch-all inbox. Okay. So it 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 is meant to receive all the emails, even if the email address is spelled wrong. Okay. But as an email marketer or as a cold email marketer, you don't want to land into catch-all email address. The reason is simple. These people do not have decision-making powers. Okay. So you want to avoid catch-all email
So
addresses.
technically, it is not bounced. It is still in the server, right? On the
It reached
receipt.
their server. Definitely, it reached their server. If you're going to send, it might reach their server, and it probably did nothing for you, right? The reason is simple. No CEO is going to open a catch-all email address. Some tier 3 or tier 4 level employee, some intern will open it, and it's practically going to be ignored, right? Because you're trying to reach out to a person who can make certain decisions, who can go on a call with you, who can talk to you, or who can buy your product, right? And the
And
employees
I
usually
have a
don't
quick
have it.
question. I'm sorry, I have too many questions here, Shyam. So
Sure,
will
sure.
that show up as a no bounce in the email tool if it lands up
Uh,
in accept all or catch all? Or
Well,
will
if
it
it
show up as a bounce, from the
no, no,
sender to?
it might that this is the reason it says unverifiable. It might sometimes show as bounce, or it might show up as a delivered email. Okay.
Understood.
So either it will show bounce, or in most cases it will say delivered. Okay, so that is why it is called accept all, and the email server will receive it, but the ideal recipient will not receive it. Okay, yeah. Okay, so
Yeah.
moving on to
Can
the next.
you can you explain the rest of them as well,
Yeah,
Shyam?
yeah, I'm going ahead with the next one. Unknown is basically never bounce, couldn't identify what certain emails were. So 152 is the number of unknown people. So you are probably better using these unknown contacts into your list of people who you are going to send. You can just keep these unknown contacts just to be on the safe side. So there are contacts which even never bounce or other tools cannot identify. So it's better to leave them alone. Then we have disposable emails. These are the type of emails which you can create online, and they are time-based emails. They are not personal emails, or they are not professional emails. Disposable emails, for example, mailinator.com or 10minutemail.com. These are the examples of disposable emails. And these emails, you have the access now for like next 10 minutes. And after that, you will lose the access, and you might not even see what is being delivered to those mailboxes. So if Neverbounce can catch those disposable emails, you will be seeing those numbers and percentage over here. And it's totally recommended to ignore these emails at all costs. So these are totally useless or bad emails. You can completely ignore these emails. Okay. So the last part is invalid, as the name suggests. These are invalid emails. Neverbounce has identified that these emails are useless. Maybe the emails are spelled incorrectly. Maybe there is an incorrect symbol inside the email text, and maybe these emails do not even exist. So that is what I Neverbounce might have identified, and that is what it is showing as invalid.
All
Okay,
right,
so
perfect.
if you
So
do
let me
all
put that straight. I'm sorry, Shyam. Sorry to interrupt you here. So what you're saying is,
Mm,
if I have 1,000 list, then practically I should ignore all the rest except the valid ones. So
yes,
the ones that I should be actually sending email is only the 724. Is that correct? And
yes,
simply
yes.
ignore the rest of the ones because many people they don't, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Just go ahead with the valid ones. You'll be more than safe with the valid ones only. Okay. All right. So I'm going to move to the next part, which is warm up. So when we are setting the email tool, and when we are setting the mailboxes inside the email tool, warm up is a very essential activity, and it is required for every single mailbox that you have. So basically, warm up is simply speaking, you are enabling these emails to be read as normal emails sent by humans, even though these emails are going to be automated going forward inside your cold outreach system. So imagine you have 50 mailboxes, right? And each mailbox is relatively new. So what you need to do is make sure there's these emails build in reputation that these these mailboxes are sending emails and also receiving emails. So sending and receiving is the activity that needs to be done regularly. And once it is done regularly, let's say for 3 to 4 weeks, you can say that mailbox is warmed up. Okay. So once these mailboxes are warmed up, after this warm-up process is uh, sort of complete, then you can start these warmed up mailboxes to send actual cold email campaigns. So when you are adding a new mailbox to your cold email system, uh, turn on the warm-up feature in your tool, or if not, use a tool like Lemwarm, Instantly Mailflow and Lemwarm. These are the tools you can use for email warm-up. There are other tools as well. You can look into the internet, and you can warm these email addresses. So there is no right number of days or number of weeks uh, as to figure out if the email inbox is warmed up or not. But I would suggest ideally set the number to, let's say, 10 to 15 emails per day for each mailbox, and warm them up for, let's say, 3 to 4 weeks initially. Once that is done, you can also increase the number of emails that you are using to warm up. You can increase to 20 or 25 emails per day for warm up emails. And after 4 weeks or maybe 5 weeks, you can use that mailbox. Okay, so even in the case that we discussed early on, that you want to add more mailboxes, right? So you want to increase your mailboxes from, let's say, 50 to 20. So those new 5 mailboxes are also needed to be warmed up. Every single mailbox needs to be warmed up. And these days, most of the tools come up with this warm-up feature. All they need you to do is just add your mailbox in their system, and they will do the warm-up for you. So you don't need to do this warm-up manually, which is very cumbersome, very troublesome process, because you need to be sending emails from all the mailboxes, right? And also receiving and replying to those emails. So ideally, you just let these tools do this task for you, and this warm-up will ensure better deliverability going forward with each of the mailbox that you have.
Okay.
Okay.
So let me
Yeah.
let me put that straight for people who have little understanding on this. So warm-up
Yeah.
basically replicate human behavior, right? For example, if I open up my own mailbox, I will start sending email and receiving email, correct?
Yeah.
But here, since there is no human being operating these mailboxes, so these tools will send email and receive email, using automations. Is that right? Or there'll be
Absolutely.
real human beings as well, right? As part of the community who does that, and it will
Yeah.
slowly warm up the mailbox and give an impression that this mailbox is being used by a real human being.
Yeah.
Is that correct statement to use, Shyam?
Exactly. Exactly. Put it correctly, Nitesh. Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. So, all right. So the warm-up process also involves some other actions like replying, marking them as a star, or marking them as safe, marking the email as safe. So all these things are taken care of by the algorithm of these tools. For example, Instantly, Mailflow, Lemwarm, all of these tools uh, try to replicate human behavior. And the more human the inbox behaves, the better the deliverability will be. Okay. And just to add to this, the domain that you're using to send these emails, if you are using this domain for a long term, you can increase the volume of emails you are sending from that particular domain. So imagine there is a domain which you are using only since last 2 months, and there is a domain that you are using since last let's say 15 months. So, and if the older domain is working fine for you, so if you are going to add more mailboxes into existing domains, it is suggested to add to your older domains which are working fine for you, because they have aged well, just like uh, uh, I mentioned earlier, that domain you can add multiple mailboxes, but first try to add more domains. But once you have a lot of domains, add mailboxes to your older domains. Okay.
Because the
Yeah.
older our domains are going to be more warmed up, right? And
Yes.
and more credible.
Absolutely.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So all right. So let's move on to the next part, which is email structure and
Yeah.
copy
Before
website.
you move into the email structure, I have one more question,
Mhm.
Shyam.
Yeah.
I get this question a lot, and especially with the inquiries that comes to me, on LinkedIn, Fiverr, and other places.
Mm.
Should I use HubSpot or Salesforce to send mass email?
Yeah.
Okay,
So
and there are a
that
lot
is
of
very
companies who are
important.
sending it. Unfortunately, many companies, they come to us after they get blacklisted,
Yeah.
sending 100,000 emails from HubSpot. What's your take? Till now you have talked about these quote unquote outbound tools, right?
Yeah.
Like Instantly and Lemlist and Smart Lead and like so on.
Mm.
What's your take? Should we send mass email from systems like Salesforce or HubSpot? If not, why not?
Yeah. So the short answer is absolutely no. And the long answer is these tools are not cold outreach tools. The reason is these tools are anything but cold outreach tools. You can practically call them a CRM with an inbound system, not an outbound system. Okay. So HubSpot and Salesforce are primarily a CRM ecosystem, and they do allow inbound email marketing, not outbound email marketing. Okay, so there is a difference. There is a huge difference between inbound and outbound. Probably it can be said for some other webinar. And outbound simply here, I will just give you a very quick understanding of outbound. It is simply a cold email system which you are going to use to reach out to people who don't even know you. Okay. But in inbound, people may have signed up in your website, have attended your event, have attended your webinar. So they have a little bit of relevance, or basically you have a little bit of relevance in your communication when you're reaching out to them. But here in uh, cold outreach systems, you don't have any relevance at all because you are just reaching out to them out of the blue. All right. And if you try to do this using HubSpot or Salesforce, just like you mentioned, Ritesh, it's going to get you blacklisted sooner or later because those tools are not meant to send 100,000 emails or mass emails for that matter, because those two tools do not have these kind of facilities like warm-up facilities or domain reputation management or other decay the all the setup that we talked about early on, right? So all of these things, even the campaign scaling is not possible in those tools. So all of these campaign things like sending few emails, like 30 emails per day, then 40 emails per day, then 50 emails per day, and so on. All of these things are a feature of outbound tools, not inbound tools. Okay, so it's
Okay.
highly recommended never to use HubSpot or Salesforce because those are inbound tools. Primarily a
Mhm.
CRM with the inbound system, and instantly reply.io, hunter.io, all of these are outbound tools.
Okay, so what you're trying to say is that,
Yeah,
if you are buying 100,000 leads from some lead generation agency,
mm,
do not upload it into HubSpot and start sending
absolutely.
email. Is that
Yes,
right? Is that a right
absolutely.
statement to make? Yeah.
Yeah,
So if you're buying 100,000 leads from a lead gen agency, set up a separate system and then, create an outbound system and send emails for that from that particular system, and do not touch your Salesforce or HubSpot, right? I think this itself is a complete webinar, so possibly we can have
exactly.
it someday. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Okay,
Yeah.
please proceed.
All right. So moving on to the next part, which is email structure and copy best practices. So I'm not going to go deeper into this because this is a very big topic. This talks about copywriting and stuff. So, but I'm just going to quickly glance over it. So, first and most important step is to avoid the spam trigger words. Uh, Words like guarantee, risk-free, and uh, free, and all these words these days trigger spam filters inside Gmail, inside Google Workspace or Microsoft 365. So I would highly recommend you write your emails with a good amount of dedication and try to avoid these spam trigger words. There is a good chance you will find all these trigger words. If you just look into Google, you will find all these spam trigger words there, which you can and should avoid. Okay, so that was the most important point. Then another important point is don't put too many links inside your emails. Don't put many attachments. In fact, don't even try to put one single attachment in your email. Just keep it simple, simple words, nothing else, no pictures, no
Shyam,
attachments.
how many links are too many links for a cold out email?
Yeah, so even for first link is too many link, or even one link is too many links.
Wow.
So if you are sending very first email to one person, ideally I would say do not even put a single link in that first email. Maybe in the second or third email you might put one link, and that's all.
Okay.
Yeah, and attachments not recommended, but again in the second or third email you might send some attachments. And if the person replies, and then it gives you a lot more flexibility. You can send links or attachments, whatever is required to construct your follow-up for that reply that the person has sent. Okay. So then we have the type of email that should be sent. Ideally, avoid all kind of HTML email, but if you cannot, you can use minimal HTML or simply send, as I said, the plain text-based version of the email. Okay, simply speaking, the simple reason is that all of the mailboxes or the receiving servers like Gmail and Microsoft are going to monitor what you're sending. And if it is a plain text email, it is highly likely to replicate the human behavior, right?
Yeah,
Try not,
understood. Means people, generally human beings, they just
yeah,
simply write plain text email, right?
exactly. So just you're going to write to a normal person, just put that kind of copy in your email campaign as well.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, typically I never create HTML email to be sent to other people. Yeah,
Yeah,
it
yeah.
makes sense. Yeah, that's right.
Okay. All right. And another important point is personalization. So not just the first line, whatever you can personalize, whatever kind of relevance you can bring into the picture. In one of the webinars we talked about earlier with you, Ritesh, that high relevance means high chances of follow-up and conversion, right? So if you know that person is up to something, like they are hosting a podcast, or they are coming on TV, or they are launching a new product. If you know all these updates about that particular recipient, please mention it, because that will make them reply to your email. There is a high chance, if you are sending email with relevance, there is a high chance that they will reply to your email, or they will click on the link that you are sending on the email. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of debate that goes on on the groups and other places around this
Yeah.
particular topic. People, I somehow sometimes feel that people are too obsessed with personalization, in a sense that they will do
Yeah.
everything to find out which college the person went and which year he passed out the college and whether he goes for the golf practice or not, and then they try to say, hey, you know what, I liked you won a trophy on this.
Yes.
So all of that is fine, and I sometimes feel people are just too obsessed with it. But I sincerely feel that people should be obsessed more with the relevance than personalization, and I think this is a
Exactly.
totally different topic altogether. But I want to know your thoughts on that, Shyam.
Yes, definitely. So obviously, people want to personalize the emails just to make sure it doesn't look robotic or too bland. But relevance is at least two levels up compared to personalization. Relevance brings the response which personalization cannot bring. For example, if you have attended the same college, that is, I think, of relevance compared to the name of the person, and the branch which he has studied from, right? So if you are from the same college, you can mention it in the email. Hey, I know you from this college. I studied with you, and or maybe I was in the same college, and that is going to get you the reply that you wanted, right? But you just knowing that this person is from that particular college will not, or probably not, get you the reply that you want, right? So
Yeah, and the
relevance are very
other
important.
example for relevance is that the person is looking for something, correct?
Absolutely,
Maybe he
yes.
has posted his pain point, right?
Yes,
Make
yes,
sense?
yes,
You know,
yes. There are many examples of relevance. Maybe this person has posted something on LinkedIn where they are lacking, or maybe this person is addressing some kind of issue in the industry, and you're also relating to that, and your solutions or your services are solving that particular problem, and that is the relevance that we are talking about, because you're exactly addressing or exactly talking about what they want to listen about or what they want to hear about. Okay. All right.
I
So
think personally we need a topic on personalization versus relevance webinar, Sham. So maybe next
yeah,
time we can do that. Yeah.
yes, yes, absolutely. So that's a very good topic, by the way. Uh, it can increase the numbers significantly if you are relevant compared to you are just personalizing the email. So the reply rate, the open rate can go through the roof if you are really relevant to the person you're sending email to. Yeah. Okay. So I'm moving on to the next part. Here so we are talking about the email structure and copy in the previous slide. So I'm just going to talk about one simple technique that we use when you're sending outbound campaigns. So this is called the burst technique. Uh, it is one particular structure of email that we send, and it's very simple and relatively easier to build or create. Here, what we do is we just create a sequence of emails, but here the main email has one subject line and certain body or email body of it, and there would be no separate subject lines for the follow-up emails. They will be exactly following up on the previous email. So when they receive in their inbox, for example, in their Gmail, they will see it in the same thread of email or same chain of emails. It is not going to appear as a second email or third email or fourth email and so on. It is going to be a one single chain of emails, and you can this is basically practically the human behavior, right? If you're sending one particular email to one person, imagine that person replies, then again you reply back, and then so on, right? So it's a single chain of email,
Yeah,
which is
it
what
becomes
we,
one thread, right? Of
yeah, so we are
in
going
between.
to, exactly, we are trying to create one single thread of email, and that is the exact human behavior inside the inboxes of Google and Microsoft, or any other email tool out there. Okay, so ideally you can start with only three emails, like one main email, there's another follow-up email, and the second follow-up email. That is all. And you can, when you're creating the copy, you can formulate what kind of email we want to send in the first one. Maybe keep the first one really short and personalized, and give a high value CTA, like what you can do for them. Sorry, what you can do for them. And then the second email can be a friendly reminder. The third one can be just asking them to just close the thread, right? And maybe just give them a quick timeline, like this is happening, or whatever you're trying to reach out to is going to end. So you just want to remind them of that, and that is all. So once you do this, you are landing into the inbox, you are following up in the same thread of email, and you're essentially keeping their inbox clean and organized as well. And in the long run, this will serve you really good. Uh, these kind of emails look like exactly coming from a human, even though you're sending using like 15 or 20 different mailboxes. Chances are that people might reply or click on the links that you're sending, and which is exactly what we want from these recipients.
This this is an incredible information you've given, Sham. So what
Thank
you are saying here is instead of sending multiple email like a drip,
you.
separate
Yes,
separate email, send one email and then just keep following up because that is how human beings do in real life.
yes,
So it
yes.
is basically replicating human behavior. And
Mhm.
since it is replicating human behavior, this mail, these email service providers like Gmail and Outlook will
Yeah,
treat them like a email coming from real human beings, right? And land
exactly.
up into inbox. The chances will be much higher. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah,
Wow.
absolutely correct. So we want our email ecosystem to behave like a human behaves when it sends the email. And using this burst technique will do the exact same thing that we just mentioned. So, and talking about the gap that you want to keep between these follow-up emails, that is subjective. Ideally, you should keep between 7 to 10 days. Sometimes you can go lower, like 2 to 3 days. Maybe in rare cases, you can go uh, 1 day, 24 hours gap only between each email. Okay, this is subjective. You can test out the gap when you're running the campaigns. You can increase and decrease and see how people respond. And then at some point of time, you'll find the right gap for your email sequences. Okay, so all right. So once you are following up more and more, you might see increase in the number of replies and opens and clicks you're getting. All right, so let's move on to some engagement signals that help the deliverability. So, okay, so these columns on the left and right are not related to each other, but I'm just going to go through each column at once. So let's talk about the first column, which is engagement signals. So here, ideally, higher reply rates equal to higher trust. So if people are replying to you frequently, it means that people are trusting your emails, people are trusting what you're sending to them. Okay, which is really, really good for your email campaigns and for your email infrastructure. Another signal is just keep an eye on your bounce rate. It should ideally be really less, and you should be worried if it is greater than 5%. Okay, so you need to work on list cleaning, which we talked about in the earlier slide using never bounce or zero bounce and other tools. The bounce rate should be under 5%, ideally under 1 or 2%, but in worst case under 5%. Okay, then we can talk about positive engagement. Positive engagement means people are bookmarking your emails, replying to your emails, and also marking your emails as not spam or clicking on your links in the emails. Okay, so all of these are positive enforcement for your email ecosystem, and it encourages the recipient servers to receive the email in their inbox. Okay, so then we move on to the smart CTAs. Try to keep the CTAs as low commitment uh, related as possible. So if you ask them to attend the webinar, for example, they might not directly come to the webinar. But if you want to make it a smart CD, or if you want to make it low commitment, you can probably ask them to just reply to the email whether by just saying yes or no, right? So for example, instead of asking them for a webinar that you are going to host, you can ask them something like, hey, I am hosting a webinar, would you like to attend, yes or no? So you might not reply even in this case, but there is a chance you might get a yes or no compared to them joining the webinar directly. Okay. So what we are trying to do is trying to spark a conversation, trying to initiate a conversation here. So even in this case, if the person has said no to your webinar by replying, that means there is a conversation, right? That means you can talk to them further with some other idea, or with some other approach, which is going to be crucial for your campaigns. So all of this can be handled with your email tool, and at some point of time, you can extract those emails who are replying to your email and take them out on your CRM and start talking to them based on your approach for pre-sales team that is handling the sales process for you. Okay. Then we have the other side of the things, which is key deliverability metrics to track. Here we ideally track open rates, click rates, reply rates. So open and click rates put some kind of tracking code inside the email, and they use the HTML tracking, and that makes the plain text email HTML based email. In some cases, you want to disable the open and click rates, but in most of the cases, you want to track these open and click rates. Okay.
So what you are
Let
saying is it
Yeah.
sends an image or HTML code with
Yes.
the email. So
Yes.
technically then, the email is not really a plain text email, but becomes a HTML email, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, okay, understood. So
So
that is why you're saying it's better to disable that in many cases.
yeah,
That
in many cases you can disable it, but once you feel like you are safe enough to track them, you might start tracking few of the campaigns, not all of the campaigns.
understood.
Yeah. Okay, then we have reply rate. Reply rate is okay. You can track it anyway. You don't. It doesn't have any HTML code of sorts. You receive the reply in your inbox, and which is what counts, right? Okay. Then there is bounce rate. There are hard bounces and soft bounces. So hard bounces are, simply speaking, those emails do not exist at all. Soft bounces are, for example, the example of soft bounces would be if one particular inbox to which you are trying to send is full, there is no capacity or no storage left. So those are soft bounces, and soft bounces are okay to handle. Hard bounces are not okay to handle. You need to avoid as much as you can. You need to ensure that your list cleaning tool like Bounce is giving you the best quality result. Okay. And spam rate, yes. So you want to avoid spam, which is the topic of this webinar, right? So spam is something that is going to be avoided automatically if you are following all of the things that we discussed in the previous slides. There is no magic, there is no magic formula here. All of the things that we discussed early on, if that is done properly, uh, there is not going to be any single spam that your email will land on. Okay, so your email will mostly land on inboxes, and spam filters will be avoided once and for all. Okay, then moving on to the next thing, which is unsubscribe ratio. So there would be people who are going to unsubscribe from your email campaign, which is okay. Just let them be, because they don't want to receive the communication. Let them
So you
be
are saying
happy.
to keep that unsubscribe link in the email, right? Many people they try to remove it. So what you're
Uh,
saying is it's better to keep the unsubscribe link for people
well,
to opt out.
yeah, there is a little conflict over here. So if you are sending a email to a normal person using your personal email inbox, there would not be any unsubscribe email, right?
That's
So
correct.
if you are going to replicate that human behavior inside these tools like Instantly and Reply.io, so you want to remove this HTML body, right? You want to send it as plain text email.
That's right.
So even in that case also, you would not be able to send this unsubscribe link in the email. Okay.
Okay.
So it acts as a plain text email. So in that case, if people want to unsubscribe, they will just simply write back to you that's by saying that just take me off your list, or just remove me from
Understood.
this. If they
Understood.
do that, you just have to remove them from the list.
So
But
maybe we can add just in like a PS, if you
yeah,
want to opt out, just say opt out, and reply me.
exactly. Yes,
Okay,
yes,
understood.
that's a better way to handle people who want to unsubscribe in the plain text emails. Yeah. And
And there
in
is
terms
one
of,
more thing. I'm sorry, please go ahead and complete it. Sure.
yeah, yeah. If you're eventually going ahead with the HTML email, then you can add the unsubscribe link at the bottom.
Understood.
Yeah.
And regarding the smart CTA, I mean, most of the code outreach is led by the sales team, and they
Yeah.
somehow are obsessed with, book a demo, right?
Yeah.
15 minutes call. Are you willing to, ready to schedule a 15 minutes consultation call or book a demo? What you're saying is, it's too hard a commitment, right? So better to
Exactly.
stick to something which is softer commitment, right? And not
Totally.
simply ask people to go ahead and book a demo or
Totally. Yeah.
or take some very drastic action into cold out email because
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
have not created the relationship.
So Booker demo is a very big CTA, if you ask me. You can, instead of Booker demo, if you want to go low commitment, you can simply say just visit our website and see one of these case studies, or maybe watch this 2-minute video, what we did for this particular client, right? That
Yeah,
is relatively low commitment compared to Booker demo.
yeah.
Yeah. So that is what I mean by low committed
I
email.
sincerely feel most salespeople they see cold outreach as a quick quick lead scheme, right? Rather than a channel to build a relationship.
Absolutely.
with their prospect. So I think this is where the gap is in many ways
Yeah.
between marketing and sales team.
Yes, yes, that is what exactly to be avoided in terms of cold outreach. You cannot sell immediately. You need to build the reputation. You are building the ecosystem, and you are also going to build the conversation that will lead to qualified leads that will go to the sales team. Okay, so we are just warming them up to be handled by the sales team. That is what we are doing in the cold outreach for B2B companies. All right. Okay, so I think we talked about this slide, and then obviously I talked about domain reputation early on. So the better your domain reputation is, the more inboxes, the more emails you can use, and you can scale up on the domain which has better reputation. Okay, so all right, so let's talk about some of the tools that you can use.
Yeah.
So
So Shyam, I'm really sorry. We have
yeah,
overshot the time. Please
yeah,
take your time.
yeah.
Just to give you a thumbs up on the time itself.
Yeah, yeah, no problem. So I'm just going to quick. Anyway, this slide itself is a very detailed topic of discussion. So I'm just going to talk really quickly about this. So there are certain tools out there which are really good to set up, really user friendly. So some of the tools are mentioned over here. We talked about warm up, email verification, monitoring, and sending the emails. So for warm up, you can use instantly. There is a facility of warming up the emails instantly. There is Lambomb, which is specific to warm up. Then there are other tools as well. You can just look them in the internet. Then if we go to verification, Never Bounce is probably the best. Zero Bounce and others come very close. So you can use any of them. I think all of them do their job really well. Okay, then we have monitoring. So here you can use some tools like Mail Tester, Google Postmaster tools. This will help you understand the behavior of your DNS server or your domain. And once you see something is not right with one particular domain, you can simply remove them from your sending ecosystem or sending tool. Okay. All right. So the most important part is sending. So here you can use something like reply.io, instantly, smart lead, and so many other tools are out there. Ritesh has already shown you the live visuals from smart lead, that system that we built for Ritesh and his team. Okay, so this is all, and this is a little brief introduction about me. So I uh, primarily build sales funnels, and I also work on cold outreach and inbound systems for uh, clients from multiple industries. Uh, Overall, I am focused on building B2B pipeline for people who are trying to bridge the gap between marketing and sales. Okay, so sales team are doing their job, but they lack the quality leads that they should be having, which is where I come in and I help them realize the gap here, which is there is a cold lead, there is a practically unused lead, and the sales team might just waste their energy converting that lead. So instead of that, I will come into the picture and ensure that lead is qualified enough to reach the sales team, and from there on they can handle it. So it takes a lot of effort to do this, and sales team are not equipped with the right tools to do this. That is where we bridge the gap and build the right sales funnels in terms of converting these leads into sales qualified leads. Yeah, I think that is it,
All
Ritesh.
right. Thank you so
Yeah,
much. I think you got a thank you from Gal as well. Thank you so much, Gal,
yeah,
for joining in. If you have any further questions, I know this was supposed to be 45 minutes, but I had too many questions and I still feel that we have not covered everything. Right, Sham?
yeah,
It's such
yeah.
a pleasure to talk to somebody like you, Sham, who is a real expert. We have so much of noise in social media and and quote unquote gurus, talking about these subjects all the time. But things like this coming from you who have been doing it for many, many years, decades now, with real insight, it really helps. I hope that this reaches out to a lot more people. Okay, we'll
Mhm.
try everything we can to promote this, to reach out to as many companies and people as possible, because there are a lot of people with a lot of questions here. So thank you so much, Shyam. Thank you so much for all the attendees to joining in. It's a little late night in India. but we still did that, and I'm looking forward to more such webinars from you, Shyam.
Absolutely. I'll be happy to do that, Ritesh. And today was a very hard day because my mouth is swollen because of the medicines I'm taking. And it was really difficult to go through all the slides and discuss all of the details that we discussed. But I'm really happy we got through this because this is where the fun begins, right? So
Yes, yes.
delivering the results and doing what feels hard, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Shyam. You have a good night ahead. Take care of your health,
Yeah.
and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you. Bye bye.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, everyone. Have a good day.